Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a stunning and shocking event that has sent waves across global defense circles: Ukraine's daring move of sending 10 MiG-29 fighter jets directly toward the Kremlin. What followed was an extraordinary sequence of high-speed maneuvers, electronic warfare, and strategic deception that left even seasoned military analysts speechless. This wasn't just a provocation or a symbolic gesture. It was a message, a declaration that Ukraine was capable of challenging Russian air superiority right in its own backyard. The entire operation showcased precision, courage, and an astonishing level of coordination between air units and ground-based command systems that no one saw coming. The exterior of this incident was set against a tense backdrop of escalating strikes, where both sides had been intensifying operations deep into enemy territory. For weeks, Russia had been launching drone and missile attacks across Ukraine, targeting infrastructure and military bases. But this time, Ukraine decided to flip the script. Using 10 of its upgraded MiG-29s, equipped with Western avionics and NATO-compatible communication systems, the Ukrainian Air Force launched one of its boldest aerial demonstrations of the war. The jets took off in formation, low over the Dnipro River basin, radar signatures masked by advanced jamming systems and false signal decoys. The world had seen Ukrainian drones over Moscow before, but never a coordinated manned aircraft approach, and certainly not one that would get this close to the Kremlin's air defense ring. Inside the cockpits, Ukrainian pilots were calm, focused, and fully aware of the scale of the mission. Each MiG-29 was assigned a specific electronic warfare task, from radar jamming to communication interference, while others carried air-to-air and anti-radar missiles. The brief was clear: test the limits of Russian radar, disrupt their intercept response, and demonstrate that Ukraine could penetrate deep into defended airspace if it chose to. In just minutes, the radar screens across western Russia lit up in confusion. Russian operators saw multiple contacts appearing and disappearing erratically, unsure whether they were dealing with decoys, cruise missiles, or actual fighters. Performance-wise, the MiG-29s executed their roles with surgical precision. These weren't the same jets Ukraine started the war with. They had been refitted, rearmed, and reprogrammed for electronic warfare and long-range strike coordination. The upgrades, reportedly aided by Western systems and Polish technicians, transformed the MiG-29 from a Cold War-era fighter into a versatile multi-role aircraft. As the formation approached Russian airspace, the pilots deployed electronic countermeasures that blinded several layers of Russian radar coverage. Russian interceptors scrambled Su-35s, and MiG-31s roared into the skies from bases around Bryansk and Smolensk. But by the time they reached the expected interception points, the Ukrainian formation had already vanished from their sensors. At this point, confusion reigned inside Russian command centers. The Kremlin's Air Defense Command initiated a high alert status, deploying S-400 systems around Moscow. Sirens reportedly sounded briefly near key military zones as radar operators detected unidentified aerial movements. Yet, no direct engagement occurred because the MiG-29s were not on a bombing run. They were testing, or as some analysts put it, taunting. Their electronic warfare packages were creating ghost signals, making it appear as if dozens of aircraft were approaching from multiple directions. This caused a full-scale defensive posture in the Russian capital, a rare occurrence that demonstrated Ukraine's ability to manipulate the opponent's response without even firing a shot. But this wasn't just a show of force. It was a meticulously planned psychological operation. By sending manned aircraft so close to the Kremlin's defensive bubble, Ukraine was signaling that its capabilities were evolving beyond hit and run drone strikes. They were saying, "We can reach you, we can breach your defenses, we know your weaknesses." Intelligence reports later revealed that Western satellites and AWACS aircraft were monitoring the entire mission from afar, collecting valuable data on how Russian air defenses reacted. This operation not only tested Ukrainian systems, but also exposed real-time weaknesses in Russia's detection and coordination network. It was as much an intelligence-gathering mission as it was a symbolic strike. Inside those cockpits, tension ran high. Ukrainian pilots had trained for months for such missions, practicing low-altitude ingress routes, radar evasion tactics, and rapid communication under electronic jamming. The coordination between them was flawless, Using encrypted NATO channels, they maintained constant situational awareness, receiving updates about Russian radar sweeps and intercept vectors. Some pilots later revealed through unofficial sources that they could literally feel the lock-on alerts from Russian radar for a few moments, only to break them seconds later using countermeasure bursts and sudden altitude drops. Every move was timed, every radar ping countered. This was not recklessness, it was controlled chaos. In terms of performance, the MiG-29s performed beyond expectations. Their engines, upgraded for enhanced thrust and endurance, allowed them to maintain low-level flight for extended distances without detection. New navigation systems gave them the ability to skim the terrain with pinpoint accuracy. More impressively, some aircraft reportedly carried anti-radiation missiles designed to target Russian radar sites, if necessary, though none were launched. The jets turned back after fulfilling their objectives, successfully demonstrating that they could approach within dangerous proximity to the Kremlin's no-fly perimeter. The mission lasted under an hour, but the geopolitical aftershocks were enormous. Russian state media at first denied that any such event occurred, dismissing reports as Western propaganda. However, leaked air traffic data and intercepted radio communications painted a different story. Panic messages between radar operators and air defense units were heard, and social media posts from Moscow residents mentioned strange aircraft noises and temporary flight restrictions near the city. Even though no explosions occurred, the psychological impact was unmistakable. For the first time since the Cold War, Russian citizens felt the vulnerability of their capital's skies. Safety-wise, the Ukrainian pilots returned unharmed, a remarkable feat considering the complexity and risk of the operation. Their safe return underscored both their skill and the reliability of the upgraded MiG-29. The mission's precision highlighted Ukraine's ability to execute high-risk operations with minimal exposure. Each pilot's safety was ensured by redundant escape protocols, coordinated airspace monitoring, and continuous satellite support. Ukrainian command reportedly used real-time data links from Western reconnaissance assets to track every movement of Russian interceptors, ensuring no one was caught off guard. The fact that all 10 aircraft returned safely was not only a morale boost for Ukraine's Air Force, but also a powerful propaganda victory. The unique selling point of this event lies in its strategic messaging. Ukraine didn't just fly jets, it flew a statement. The operation demonstrated technological integration between Ukrainian platforms and Western intelligence networks, showing the world that the Ukrainian military had become a modern hybrid force capable of sophisticated multi-domain operations. The MiG-29s, originally designed to combat NATO jets, were now being used by a NATO-backed Ukraine to test Russia's most advanced systems. This inversion of Cold War dynamics was symbolic and psychological, a complete reversal of roles. The operation also served as a deterrent. It sent a clear message to Moscow: continued aggression will meet an increasingly capable and unpredictable adversary. The price tag for this operation was not just measured in fuel or equipment costs, but in the intelligence value extracted. Every radar pulse, every missile lock, every command issued from a Russian base was recorded and analyzed. That information is worth millions. It enables Ukraine and its allies to map Russian air defense blind spots, radar frequencies, and response times, crucial data for future operations. Some defense experts speculated that this entire event might have been a test for future long-range precision strikes or even manned, unmanned coordinated attacks involving drones and fighters working in tandem. If true, this would mark the beginning of a new phase in aerial warfare for Ukraine. The Kremlin's response was swift and defensive. Additional S-500 missile batteries were repositioned near Moscow, and air defense drills were reportedly conducted in the following days. Russian officials accused NATO of assisting in the provocation, though they avoided admitting that Ukrainian jets had reached that close. Meanwhile, Ukraine maintained official silence, neither confirming nor denying the event, a classic psychological warfare tactic. This ambiguity kept Russia guessing and global media buzzing. The silence was louder than any official statement could have been. It kept speculation alive and uncertainty growing, both of which favored Ukraine's strategic narrative. From an analytical standpoint, this event exposed critical cracks in Russia's much-touted air defense shield. Systems like the S-400 and A-135, long considered nearly impenetrable, struggled to track agile, low-flying aircraft using modern jamming techniques. The incident also showed how Ukraine's Air Force, despite being smaller and older, had adapted faster than anyone expected. Through Western aid, technical expertise, and battlefield improvisation, Ukraine turned legacy platforms into modern tools of disruption. This adaptability is perhaps its greatest strength. For the pilots, the mission symbolized defiance, a declaration that the skies over Eastern Europe would not be controlled by fear. Many of these men had seen their comrades lost in earlier stages of the war, yet they chose to fly directly toward one of the most heavily defended airspaces in the world. Their courage resonated across Ukraine, inspiring not only the military but also civilians who saw in them a reflection of national resilience. The footage of the returning MiG-29s, streaming across the sunset with contrails streaking behind them, became an instant symbol of defiance and pride. On the Russian side, the embarrassment was palpable. For a regime that prides itself on controlling its airspace and projecting power, this event was a humiliation. It revealed that even with billions invested in air defense, no system is foolproof. The incident also sowed doubt among Russian citizens and military officers alike about their leadership's ability to protect the homeland. Internationally, it weakened Moscow's claim of having impenetrable defenses and raised questions about how many other such breaches might have gone undetected before. As the dust settled, analysts from Washington to London debated what the mission truly meant. Some argued it was a rehearsal for future operations targeting key Russian installations. Others believed it was simply psychological warfare designed to make Moscow waste resources on defense. Either way, it worked. Within days, Russia redeployed interceptor aircraft and repositioned radar stations, a costly and logistically complex response to an operation that fired no missiles. Ukraine had forced its opponent into reactive mode, once again using creativity instead of sheer firepower. In the days that followed, footage surfaced allegedly showing Russian anti-aircraft missiles being launched into empty skies, chasing phantom targets created by Ukrainian electronic interference. It was a perfect metaphor, Russia shooting at ghosts while Ukraine redefined modern warfare. The MiG-29s had done their job not by destroying physical targets, but by destroying confidence. The psychological edge shifted, and Ukraine proved that even a smaller force could outthink and outmaneuver a superpower with precision and planning. This event will likely be studied in military academies for years to come, not just for its tactical brilliance, but for its psychological impact. It demonstrated that warfare in the 21st century is no longer just about who has more missiles or bigger planes, it's about who can manipulate information, perception, and timing. Ukraine mastered all three in one daring operation. As for the cost, while Ukraine invested heavily in maintaining and upgrading its MiG-29 fleet, the return on that investment was immeasurable. The operation boosted morale, gathered intelligence, and reshaped global perception. It sent a message to allies that Ukraine was not a passive recipient of aid, but an active, innovative force capable of its own strategic brilliance. In conclusion, the flight of the 10 MiG-29s toward the Kremlin will be remembered as one of the most audacious moments in modern air war, bear a blend of courage, technology, and psychological mastery. Ukraine managed to penetrate Russia's symbolic heart not through destruction but through demonstration, proving that precision, innovation, and resolve can outmatch brute strength. This event didn't just mark a turning point in the skies, it redefined the very nature of modern conflict. Ukraine showed the world that no fortress is truly impregnable. When determination and intelligence take flight,